girl, welcome to my channel. I'm happy you decided to stop by and see what I had to say. So today I'm going to talk about you are created for such a time as this. You are created for such a time as this. And this is important to me because I recently have gone through some of my own thoughts and processes about myself and just what I was created for and just the whole thing. And so I feel that there are some people here on earth that have questioned their existence. So this video, first of all, this video is for those that have struggled with feeling like if they have purpose or if they don't have purpose. This is for those that are struggling with the reality of why they were ever existed or created in the first place. Okay, so I want to put emphasis on this because it can become something that can put people in a depressing state of mind when you feel like you're hopeless, when you feel like you're useless, when you feel like there's no purpose for you to even be here anymore. You feel like nobody wants you. You feel like sometimes that people just, they don't gravitate to you. They don't pay you no mind. You don't matter. And all those things that come around and circle around those things and those thoughts and ideas and that we all get. And I want you to know that that's nothing but the enemy. The enemy will put those thoughts in your head and allow it and cause you to think that that's true, when in actuality it is not. We were all created for a purpose, right? And so I was reading in Esther. If you've not read the book of Esther, I encourage you to do so. It is a really, it's a good book, okay? But basically, Esther was a young lady, and of course, their family was brought over to a different country or whatnot in captivity. However, the king, he needed a new queen. And so they went out and they searched for a new queen. And I won't get into the whole story. I encourage you to go and read it yourself. But the point that I want to pull out in Esther's story is she was selected to be queen. She was, her beauty and all the things that Esther came with, it shined brighter than all the other ladies that could have been queen. However, maybe about I don't know how long, maybe 4 years later or some time later, Esther was faced with a decision that she had to make on the behalf of her people, which were the Jews. And basically, she needed to go and see the king and put her life in danger to risk her the Jews not getting their lives taken. And so in a nutshell, Esther had to do something that was super hard that could potentially get her killed. Regardless, she still did it. She fasted and prayed. She had the community, the Jews, to fast and pray with her, and she did all of this and just trusted that God was going to work it out. Otherwise, the whole Jewish population would have died that was in that region. So what I want to say about Esther and what is said in that book that we often like to pull out is for such a time as this. Esther was created for such a time as that moment. She didn't know that she was going to become queen. She didn't know any of this stuff was going to unfold. She didn't know that Mordecai was going to, not Mordecai, that's her uncle. What is that man's name? His name, it don't even matter. She didn't know that there was going to be a whole plot to end the lives of Jewish community. Let's just say that. She didn't know all of this stuff was going to happen, that she was going to have to stand up and be bold and go forth. So now, and why I say that is because back then you couldn't come to the king without him summoning you. And if you did, you could risk being killed. Okay? So I just thought about that, and I thought about for such a time as this, for such a time as this. And a couple of times the whole idea about how I was born, like how I was birthed into this world, had came up a few times, right? I had talked with my dad about it. I talked, one of my friends, she talked to me, she mentioned it actually, of what God was telling her, and it just left me in a wondering, in a thought. It was a thought-provoking thing. So the story was that my mother, she really wanted to have a son, right? When her and my dad got married, she wanted to have a son, and that was the only child that she wanted to have, right? Um, she wasn't planning on having no more kids after him. So when she found out she was having me, she was in a state of, disbelief. And when it is what it is, I'm here, you're having a girl. My father, he decided that I was going to be his little princess, and that's how I got my name, Princess. So, however, learning about this story as a youth, and just thinking about it now as an adult, I could take this multiple ways, right? And the first way is looking at this situation like, you know what? I was never even wanted. Like, my mother didn't even want to have me. She wanted to have a son, but she just so happened to have me. I can look at it that way, and I can fall into a depression and a state of mind that makes me say, why was I born when my mom didn't even want to have me in the first place? Or instead of thinking that way, I can think of it this way, that God thought it was so important to have a princess, me, in this earth, that he decided, you know what? I know you want a son, and I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you your son. But first, I need Princess to be born because I have plans for her. I have things I need to happen in this earth, and it's only going to happen through Princess. Right? And so when I thought about it in that way, it was just so deep for me. And it's like, wow, like God honestly cared about me so much that instead of giving my mama what she wanted, which was a boy, he decided to give her me, because he created me for such a time as this. And I just want to encourage you today that regardless of what your story looks like, regardless of what you're going through, I never want you to think that your life is meaningless. I never want you to think that you were not created for such a time as this. You are created for such a time as this. There is something in you that God placed there that is needed in the earth. And so you are important. Your life is not meaningless. It's okay if that relationship didn't work out. It's okay if you don't have a relationship with your parents. These things don't mean that your life is not purposeful. Just because they can't see your worth don't mean you don't have worth. You have worth. You just got to open up your eyes and see it for yourself. Okay? But I just want you to know that God loves you. And if you were never supposed to be here, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't even been born. But you were for such a time as this. So please remember that. The next time you fall into your thoughts in your head, thinking that nobody cares about you, nobody loves you, and you start questioning your existence, remember that God decided he knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. He already made plans for you. He already knew what you was going to grow up and be. He already knew the gifts and that he has locked up inside of you. There is somebody out there that does need to hear you, that needs to be connected to you, that needs to hear your voice. There is somebody out there waiting to meet you. There is something in you that the world needs. God gives us gifts so we can give them, okay? So never think that you are pointless or it don't even matter why you're here. You are important, and I need you to understand it. All right. So that's my message for today. And I just want that to sit on you. Okay. Just keep thinking about that. You are created for such a time as this. All right. All right. So remember to let what you do inspire others and be blessed.